So welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and today we're going to talk about all my lawnmower does is make a clicking noise and how to diagnose what's really going on, right? So if your lawnmower is just clicking, stay tuned. We'll figure it out together. All right. My name is Eric. Today we're talking about chainsaws. Alright, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and today we're going to talk about why your lawnmower isn't starting and simple things that you can check. Alright, so if you turn the switch and all you get is a click, and it sounds like the click is coming from in front of you, that is the sound of your solenoid clicking. It's trying to engage the starter. And what you have on your solenoid, and I'll go into that more in depth inside, but you have power coming to one side of it, power leaving it through the other side to the starter, from the battery to the side, from this side to the starter, and then you have one wire coming from the switch that actually helps start it, to connect the two together. That could be it. Could be a faulty solenoid. But where should we check first? Alright, on this model here, the battery is located underneath the seat, and what I'm looking for is connection. Is the connection tight? Does it have a lot of goop on it, rust, or does it need to be cleaned up? Take your knife and just clean the aluminum, the lead part of the battery, so that you get good connection, because a lot of times you lose it here. The other thing is your battery got enough charge in it? If it doesn't have enough charge, sometimes all it will do is just click, because it doesn't have the amperage to turn it over. So what we do is Harbor Freight. I just checked and they're like 20 bucks. And you can get this unit here. And you simply hook the red to the positive, black to the negative, and then it tells you, and I'll show you up close, it tells you if that battery is any good or not. And this also will tell you if your system is charging. A lot of people say, oh, how do I know if my battery is getting charged back from the engine while it's running? Well, it's simple. If you have one of these and you connect these two, you should be reading right around 12 volts. Alright, let me get my goggles on. So you should be reading right around 12, alright? And then when you start this up, this should go up into the OK range, which is 14 to 15. And that tells me that the stator is coming back through and charging the battery while we're running it. And that's very important. But we want to eliminate the battery first, alright? And this battery is good. It tests good. And you can also test these under load to see if it comes back quick or whether it's slow at coming back. So once we've tested the battery and the battery's good, the next thing is getting underneath the hood. What you're looking for is the solenoid and where it's coming from. And on this, it's got a separate solenoid, and then it has just the starter on it, alright? So it could be that the solenoid is bad, or you got loose wires, or you've got contamination or a broken wire. In this one here, we're going to have to take this whole fuel tank out in order to access it. But the other way you could test too is by taking and, well, I'll show you in there of how to do it. Okay, so like I was telling you out there, you kind of have two different types of starters, alright? And this is off a tractor, it's for demonstration purposes only. And there's very few lawnmowers that are running a starter with a solenoid on it. There's Kawasaki's, put out by John Deere that have their own solenoids. You know, if you get into the compacts, you're going to have probably your own solenoid on top of the starter. But most of the time, for us guys that are just running lawnmowers, smaller ones, we're going to have a starter. And the solenoid is separate. And the way I was trying to explain it out there is, if you know your battery's good, then you want to see what kind of contacts it is here. Because we're going to take, here's the battery. We'll make this the battery. Alright? Now that battery is going to have a wire coming from it to this side of the solenoid. And then from this side of the solenoid, you're going to have another wire going from here to the starter. Here. And then on this side of the solenoid, this is a 4-post. It could be a 3 or 4, depending upon if this is mounted to plastic, then your 4th is going to be your ground. Alright? If it's bolted to metal where it's grounding itself, it probably only has 3 posts in it. You know, I recommend just buy the 4-post, and that way you're covered both ways. You know, you can use it for the 3 or the 4. So when you hit the key switch, you're actually engaging these two to come together and feed the power across. And then it comes from there to here. Well, that clicking noise you're hearing is in here where it's clicking, trying to bring these two together, but it's not coming together far enough to bring juice to here. And like I said, if the battery is low, you'll get the same thing because you don't have enough voltage coming through to that solenoid to actually start the starter. So that comes to the next question is, how do we know if the starter's any good or if the solenoid's any good? Well, we could do simple tests. Don't try this at home, kids. Alright, so with this starter here, if we ground it, this is the ground, alright? And when this is bolted in, it's grounding itself, alright? So all we have is just the hot coming from there to there. So that would be this wire here. So if I take and touch this, what should happen? Well, it should engage the starter. Just like that. That tells me that that starter is good. So if your starter's doing good, if you've got it out, don't throw it away. Try this, and if it works, it works. It's not this, guys. Most of the time, it's either here or the battery. Okay? So as I was telling you, with this unit here, let me see if I can get close enough so you can see where it's saying. If I hook up this to the negative and this to the positive on the battery, this will bring it up to 12 volts. And with it being hooked, I can do a discharge. Well, let me show you. Because basically, my jump pack is just a huge battery, alright? So I'm going to hook this to the ground. I'm going to hook this to the positive. Okay. Whoa, let me get these apart. So that's showing that I'm in the 12 volt range. That's where you need to be. And you can do a leak down test, but a load test to see it, how fast does it come back. If it doesn't come back very fast, it may be a bad battery still. Alright? And then when we start the lawnmower up, with these still attached to the battery, it should come up into that other okay range of 14 to 15 to tell you that your stator's charging. Okay? Let me get these unhooked. But, you know, depending on what machine you're working on, some of them do have the actual solenoid part of the starter. The Kawasaki's are well known for that. And what you have is these two posts here are just this post and this post. It's just like that. And then this little nut right here where a wire goes is that. So when you hit your switch, you're hitting this and it's causing these two to come together to turn your starter over. And this one here is questionable because we can't get it to spin up. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about starters is a lot of times if the rubber goes on it or if the teeth go on it, they are replaceable, okay? So like the thing to remember when you're doing this is if you have an aluminum flywheel, it's got the ring gear on, aluminum ring gear, you run plastic on it, don't run metal. If you've got a steel ring gear, you got to run steel, okay? Because the steel will rip up an aluminum one and a steel ring gear will rip up the plastic one. So hopefully on that note you've learned something today more about your system and why it's making that clicking noise. Most times that clicking noise is here or in here. And it's usually dirty posts or loose posts. Thanks for watching.